So I'm going to share some of the tips that I've learned over the years as a lecturer that can help you to deal with the nerves and combat those presentation jitters. Tip 1 is don't memorize. Now, I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but actually memorizing is one of the things that leads to people becoming super nervous before a presentation. So it's important to prepare, but don't memorize. Get to know the content for yourself, right? Because when somebody asks you to present on something, basically what they're saying is, tell me what you know on the subject. So it's important to always start when you're preparing a presentation, start from the vantage point of what you know on the subject. And if there's any additional information that you believe would be important to the audience, learn that information for yourself. So just imagine this scenario. You've memorized an entire paragraph and you're standing in front of the audience and you are regurgitating what you memorized and you forget one word. You know, many of us have had that experience. That one word will completely destabilize your presentation. Let's say the audience wants you to come and talk about the sky, and you've laid out certain points about the sky. You've laid out those points in your notes. You've said the sky is very high up, the sky is blue, sometimes the sky has clouds. Because you've laid out those main points, all you have to do is look at your notes and see, okay, sky is high up, right? Then you can start explaining that point to your audience in your own words. You look at the next point, it says sky is blue. Then you can start explaining that point to your audience in your own words from your own perspective. That avoids you memorizing, which eventually when you memorize and you lose one tiny bit of your presentation, it throws you off and then your nerves skyrocket. So again, prepare, but don't memorize. The second tip is start your presentation with something that you are familiar with. If there is a quote that you are very comfortable with, a quote that resonates with you a lot, and you are able to tie that quote into your presentation, start your presentation with that quote. Or for instance, if there's a personal story of yours that you feel ties into the presentation, start the presentation with that personal story. When you start your presentation with something that's familiar to you, you start to feel a lot more comfortable about what you're going to talk about. But when you start off a presentation with really complex points that make you feel a little intimidated, that could throw you off and make you feel even more nervous. I'm going to make a very silly example, but let's say with the presentation about the sky, right? I start off my presentation and say, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And that's really how I felt when I was starting off this presentation. It felt like such a difficult, strenuous process. But as I progressed throughout the presentation and my preparation, I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say, right? So you start off with something that is familiar to you. That will help you to calm your nerves. The third point is use confident body language. When you have body language that is really tight, you are sending your brain a signal that says, I am very uncomfortable and I am very nervous. So even though you feel nervous, make sure that your body language does not depict the nervousness that you feel, because that will make you feel even more nervous. Keep your arms away from your body as much as possible. So when you're presenting, try not to have your arms crossed over your body. Even when you're standing, don't stand in front of an audience with your legs crossed. Try to have a nice, relaxed, open stance, because that will send a signal to your brain that it's okay, I'm comfortable, I'm relaxed, I can do this. If you get in front of your audience with your arms crossed over your body or your hands in your pockets, you're sending a signal to your brain that says, I am very uncomfortable, this is going to be very challenging. So just be mindful to have more of an open stance, keep your arms away from your body. That also tells your audience that you're comfortable. I think I'll just throw in a bonus tip as well. And this bonus tip is to remember that it's okay to make mistakes in a presentation. Good presenters are not perfect, but they are effective. Your goal in a presentation should be to convey your message effectively to the audience, not perfectly. So you have to change your mindset when it comes to presenting and say, my presentation does not have to be perfect. It's okay if I pause from time to time. If I throw in an here or there, it's not the end of the world, right? Because my presentation does not have to be perfect, but it does have to be effective. And that releases some of the pressure that comes with having to present in front of an audience. So don't memorize, prepare. Start your presentation with something that's familiar to you. Use confident body language. And also, your presentation does not have to be perfect, but it does have to be effective.